Randy, tell me a little bit about how you got started fishing.
Well, I learned my mom and dad, they used to take me on vacation down to Table Rock Lake when we were little, like 6, 7 years old. And so that's really, I learned, my taste for bass fishing was on Table Rock Lake early. And then as I got older, like 10, 12 years old, there was a creek at the bottom of my parents' house, and I'd go down there and wade that creek, every day after school, and learned all about minnows, crawfish, that type of stuff, and really just got an appreciation for being outside, wading those small creeks and fishing at Table Rock early on.
How'd you get involved in tournament fishing?
Well, I had an interest in fishing period early on, and it was probably in about the mid-70s when I started reading Bassmaster magazine. I started really developing an interest in some of those early tournament anglers, like, well, that was back when Clun was starting out, Bill Vance, Rayo Breckenridge, John Powell, some of the real old-timers. And I just thought that was so neat that you could actually earn a living doing something that I love to do so much, was fishing. And I followed that all the way through high school. I got to really know the anglers. I followed the tournament scene, and there wasn't a lot of coverage back then with it. You just had basically a few magazines covered it. It wasn't like the exposure you had today, and that just really appealed to me ever since I was a teenager. And I just really took it just like somebody did with Little League Baseball, starting out on a smaller level, getting more interested, building your skills up, and eventually started out small and wound up being able to make a living doing it.
Now, I happen to know that you have quite a passion for the environment, protecting the environment. Tell me a little bit about that.
I always have, ever since, I remember back when I was a little kid, I was about 12 years old, I was wading Turkey Creek, the creek at the bottom of my parents' house. And I sort of took claim to this creek because it was I was sort of like the guardian of it. Nobody else fished it but me. And I got underneath there was a bridge that I'd always walk down to get down to the creek. And I got down there to start fishing, and all of a sudden I see this garbage sack come flying over the top of the bridge and into the water. And somebody had thrown over, a huge garbage sack full of trash into the creek. And I just couldn't believe that somebody would actually, think about, disgracing my sacred creek like that. And it just hit me after that the responsibility that we really have to take care of the planet. And me being outside, I spend all my life outside, fishing tournaments, fishing, just enjoying the outdoors. And so I see firsthand, more than the average person, the type of challenges we have environmentally to the planet. And so that incident when I was a little kid really stood out for me in a big way. And that's the whole thing about this. As anglers, we take it for granted, what we have out here. And in order for our sport to be sustainable for the long term, we've got to take care of it. We've got to take care of every variable that has anything to do with our air and water. And to me, that's the #1 priority. If we don't take care of our air and water, generations, 2 or 3, generations down the road are not going to have the opportunity that we have, that Bill and I had today, to be out on the water. So I take it very seriously, and I think it's at the top of the list of priorities.
Ultimate Match Fishing, man, what do you think?
It was awesome. A lot of friends that I have watched the show. I didn't really know what to expect going into this. The thing that stood out to me more than anything else was how quick those 90 minutes go by. David Walker told me going into this last week, he said, "You're not going to believe how quick the time goes by," and it really does. You don't really have time to expand or develop or experiment. You have to pretty much stay with your plan and what's been working for you. And it was just like Bill was talking about, it's more intense than a regular tournament. I was just as focused and intense out there today as I was, fishing the Forest Wood Cup or the Bassmaster Classics I've been in. So it was great. I really enjoyed the opportunity to be here. I did.